A hobbyist hacker suddenly gets a hacking contract from a client. But while carrying out the hack, he discovers something that brings dark times into his life. But what exactly did he discover? And how does he escape from this danger? To know that, you'll have to watch the full video. I'm talking about the 2014 hacking movie, Algorithm the Hacker. So let's not waste time and jump right into today's movie explanation. The movie begins with some CCTV footage where two men are interrogating a person. These two, Agent Wallace and Peterson, are NSA agents, and the man being interrogated is named Hash. He is accused of hacking into a secret government system and stealing classified information. Despite repeated questioning, he keeps denying any involvement. Then, we're taken to flashbacks set 1 month earlier. Here, we meet Will, a hobbyist hacker. Will believe that all information on the internet should be free and accessible to everyone. So, out of curiosity, he used to hack into all sorts of systems, hacking someone's Wi-Fi or breaking into a phone company's server to get unlimited offers were part of his everyday routine. Aside from these, Will also took up hacking contracts like a private detective. Clients would approach him with different hacking jobs. One day, a businessman named Gordon visits him. Gordon suspects that his wife is cheating on him, so he wants Will to hack into his home system and extract all data from his wife's phone and laptop. Even if nothing is found, Gordon promises to pay Will a large sum. So Will accepts and gets to work. Although Will is a skilled hacker, to break into a home network, he needs to physically install a hacking device into the home's electrical line. But he doesn't have the expertise to build such a device himself. That's where his partner Bichon comes in, a highly qualified electrical engineer. Bichon knows exactly how to manipulate any electrical system and build the needed hacking device. Just like Will, Bichon also believes that information should be free and supports Will in every hack. So, she builds a hacking device for Will. Will then secretly fits the device into Gordon's home network. The easiest way to hack into a home network is by targeting the TV connection. Since most TVs are now Wi-Fi connected and share the same network as other home devices, hacking the TV's connection can give access to the entire network. According to Will, the best time to execute the hack is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. when everyone is asleep. During this time, the device can reboot the network. While rebooting, the network's firewall remains disabled for about 1 full minute as the firewall loads at the very end. That 1-minute window is enough to break into the system. After installing the hacking device, Will goes to a library. From there, he successfully gains access to Gordon's home network and all the devices, including his wife's computer. Just imagine how dangerous a hacker can be. Will notices an email in her inbox from a guy named Sam Novak. Posing as Gordon's wife, Will replies to Sam with an email that includes some private photos from her computer. Later, he goes to a cafeteria to meet his friends, Bichon, and 3 others. There, he suddenly asks if anyone knows anything about Emergency. Hash replies that Emergency is a very secret and powerful agency under the NSA, and they have access to the personal data of every U.S. citizen. When Hash asks why Will is so curious about Emergency, Will doesn't answer. But later, he tells another friend, Pseudonym, that he has successfully hacked into the personal network of Sam Novak, the chief technology officer of Emergency. Yes, the same Sam who emailed Gordon's wife is actually a high-ranking government official. Hearing this, Pseudonym becomes terrified and urges Will to leave immediately. Because Will hack the system using her neighbor's Wi-Fi, and since Emergency has access to massive amounts of data, they could easily trace the hack back to him, and they would all be in serious danger. So, Will is forced to return home. But not stopping there, he accesses Emergency's servers through Sam Novak's network and starts downloading tons of classified programs. Although he understands many of them, one program named Shepard completely confuses him. Since it's a Linux-based program, Will goes to his Linux expert friend, Hash. Hash is shocked to hear that Will hacked into Emergency servers. As he examines the Shepard program, he explains that it's trying to create an SSH tunnel to connect with another server. But to do so, it needs a login password, and the system only allows 3 attempts. Those who are familiar with Linux would know that an SSH tunnel is a system where programs connect to another server and encrypt themselves, making them undetectable. To understand where Shepard is trying to connect, they must successfully access that other server. Will starts thinking that this task shouldn't be done in such a public place. So he says goodbye to Hash and moves to a location where radio signals can't possibly escape. As soon as he enters the room, he covers all the walls with aluminum foil. This foil will block any radio signal from getting out of the room. Once he's secured the place and trapped all signals, he sits down again to uncover the secrets of the Shepard program on his laptop. But the program is written in such a complex language that even his laptop can't process it properly. It could only be understood using a special method called Cartesian logic, but even that would take over a week to decode. To truly unlock the program, he would need to target at least one part of it. If he could find the IP address of the server Shepard is trying to connect to, maybe he could do something. While he's trying to figure out how to extract that IP address, he and his friends leave the secured room for the day. Meanwhile, while Will was still inside the room earlier, some men had already captured Hash. They arrested him for illegally accessing a high-level government server. Because Will had used a cafe-face Wi-Fi to access the Shepard program, the blame had now fallen squarely on Hash's shoulders. On the other hand, while Will is walking down the street, he notices smoke coming from his house. As he rushes closer, he sees that his house is on fire. This means emergency has probably found out about him too. Confused and terrified, Will rushes back to the cafeteria, but this time Pseudonym gets furious and blames him for Hash's arrest. She reminds him how she had warned him from the beginning not to mess with emergency, but Will ignored all her advice. After scolding him heavily, she asks him to leave immediately. With nowhere else to go, Will turns to his last hope, Bitchan. Feeling ignored and disappointed by everyone, Will spends the night at Bitchan's place. The next morning, while talking to Bitchan, he realizes that the same kind of hacking device he had planted in Gordon's house could be used to fool the emergency agents. If they installed this device in someone else's house and accessed Shepard from there, emergency would come after that location. Meanwhile, Will and Bitchan would observe the scene and try to gather some clues about who these emergency people really are. Bitchan is reluctant at first, but eventually agrees to help Will after some convincing. Then, Will visits the house of a man named Robert Martin, secretly installs the hacking device there, and hacks into his Wi-Fi. From that network, he activates Shepard Online and sits at a distance with Bitchan, closely watching the house, waiting to see who shows up. Just a while later, they see some men arrive in a vehicle and forcefully drag Martin out of his house. Will and Bitchan quickly try to take a photo of the car's license plate using a camera. Hiding in the shadows, they somehow manage to get a clear shot of the number plate. Then, they return to Bitchan's house and start using the Tor network to trace the IP address of the server. Let's clarify something here. When using the Tor network, no one can trace your real IP address, even if you're using public Wi-Fi. It works just like a VPN, masking your real location. So, Will uses the Tor network to try and unlock the server's IP address. However, it turns out that the license plate number they photographed was most likely fake, so it didn't help much. Still, Will eventually gets an IP address. But even with that, he can't directly access Shepard because to break through that address, he has to connect to multiple servers first. So, Will now uses a special method called port knocking to connect one by one to the servers behind that IP address. If he can connect to the final server, he'll be able to learn which exact server Shepard is trying to reach. Using this port knocking technique, Will slowly uncovers the entire chain of IP addresses behind Shepard. But even now, he needs the password to access the final server. For that, Will rushes to another hacker friend of his, Decimate. The other day, when Decimate overheard Will talking about Shepard in the cafeteria, his reaction was strangely suspicious. Now, when Will arrives at his house, Decimate refuses to let him in. Then Will tells him that he's discovered Shepard's final IP address. To his shock, Decimate recites the exact IP address from memory. Stunned, Will asks how he knows it. In response, Decimate reveals that apart from being a hacker, he also works for government agencies and multinational corporations. So, knowing that IP address was no big deal for him. In fact, he even claims to know Shepard's password. When Will asks him for it, Decimate warns that Shepard is a program that, if revealed to the public, could cause absolute chaos. He adds that even Will might not like what he finds if he opens it. But as Will keeps insisting, Decimate finally gives him the password, though he tells him not to dig any deeper. He warns that many people are already at risk because of this. But Bitchan tells Will that since they've come this far, they must finish the job. If Shepard is truly a harmful program targeting people's privacy, the world has a right to know. Encouraged by Bitchan's words, Will once again finds a secret location and logs into Shepard. And what he sees next makes his jaw drop. Shepard is a tracking tool that allows the American government to monitor any citizen at any time under any circumstances. In short, the concept of privacy no longer exists. To test this, Will searches for the name Hash and finds that Shepard contains every bit of personal information about him. We can even see his current condition through live footage in this program. At that moment, Agents Peterson and Wallace were interrogating Hash. They were brutally torturing him. Then they tell him, you try to log into a highly confidential government site, and this crime is unforgivable. They also say that they saw Hash taking a laptop from a person named William. That means they already know about Will. So initially they had all the data. But later, he used the Tor network to hide himself. Now, the agents keep asking Hash for Will's address. But due to the torture, Hash couldn't utter a single word. After seeing all this, Will shuts the laptop and heads straight to Pseudonym's cafe. But just like last time, Pseudonym refuses to talk to him. Then Will opens his laptop and addresses the people inside the cafe. He says, don't you feel bad knowing that the NSA is constantly watching you and has access to all your personal data? After hearing this, a guy named Eddie replies, why should they worry? None of them are doing anything illegal. Then Will asks for his name and what he did last night. Eddie replies that he watched a movie on Netflix. And right away, Will tells him the name of the movie. Everyone is shocked. That's when he tells them about Shepard, a system that can now track any American citizen easily. Because now, Will has access to Shepard. He also reveals that the NSA and Homeland Security are torturing two innocent men named Hash and Martin. So, anyone can become a victim based solely on suspicion. After hearing all this, Pseudonym tells him, why are you revealing all this here? Because of you, we're all going to be in danger. Will replies that Hash is still in Homeland Security's custody. If they don't rescue him, things will get worse. They might even kill him. Will says he can break into the system with Bitchin's help, but he wants Pseudonym to assist him too. When they rescue Hash, Pseudonym will drive them away. Anyway, after showing Hash's condition on the laptop, Pseudonym agrees to help. Will then sets up some fake documents to make it look like he's handling the prison transfer for Hash and Martin. Disguising himself as a prison officer, he goes to the Homeland Security office. He hands the files to the receptionist and says they've come to transfer Hash and Martin to another prison. The documents were so flawless that the receptionist didn't suspect anything. The receptionist then informs him that Martin is no longer at this facility, but they can take Hash if they want. Actually, Martin had already died after failing to endure the torture, but the NSA and Homeland Security had covered it up, because if this information got out, there would be chaos across the country. Anyway, Homeland Security hands over Hash to Will, and he drives him away. Hash was in such a terrible state from all the torture that he looked completely shattered. After rescuing him, Will quickly takes him away in Pseudonym's car. Meanwhile, Agents Peterson and Wallace lose their minds when they find Hash missing from the torture room. After hearing from the receptionist, they realize someone tricked them and took Hash. So, they immediately deploy their team to find them. Meanwhile, Will, Hash, and Pseudonym go to Decimate's house. They had nowhere else to go. When they knock, Decimate again hesitates to let them in. But after hearing about Hash, he finally allows them inside. Decimate is shocked to see that Will manage to rescue Hash from Homeland Security. But at the same time, he gets very angry because now he's also in danger because of them. Meanwhile, Will is surprised to see that Bitchin is already there. Hash is so injured that he has to lie in a corner on the floor. Will then tells Decimate that he plans to publicly expose Shepard, because invading people's privacy like this is absolutely wrong to him. But Decimate tells him that there's no point in going against these government agencies. It's better to let them continue their surveillance if it's for national security. But Will still refuses to agree, and Bitchin supports him. The night passes in the middle of all these arguments, and eventually everyone falls asleep. The next morning, Decimate wakes everyone up and informs them that NSA agents are waiting outside the door. In other words, he himself had informed the NSA about them. It turns out he was working for them from the beginning. Before he can finish speaking, NSA agents arrive and capture Will, Hash, and Pseudonym. As they're being taken away, Bitchin breaks down in tears. Decimate tries to calm her down and says that everything is part of a plan, so nothing will happen to Will and the others. But he doesn't explain what that plan is. In the next scene, we suddenly see Gordon, the man who originally came to Will to hack his wife's laptop, reappear. We see Gordon talking to someone over the phone about Will. Through the call, he sets up a meeting with Will. And finally, 20 days after Will was captured, Gordon comes to meet him. Just by seeing Gordon, Will realizes that everything was staged and it was all part of a plan. Gordon had set him up to test his hacking abilities. And this is actually NSA's method of recruiting hackers. They don't hesitate to torture them for a few days to test their physical endurance. Those who survive and pass the test are offered a job at the NSA. Honestly, I've never seen such a bizarre recruitment process in my life. This was the main plan of Gordon and Decimate. Nearly half dead, Will is also given the same job offered by Gordon. He tells Will that if he agrees, he will live a life full of comfort and respect. Will then says, "How can I trust you? You killed all my friends." Gordon replies that none of his friends are dead. They're just in bad condition. Hearing this, Will finally agrees to work for the NSA. And with that, this extraordinary hacking movie comes to an end. So, if you like this video, don't forget to like and comment. And for more thrilling movie recaps and explanations like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel Movie Recap Hub. I will see you in the next video. Until then, peace out.